How's it going, everyone? It is me, Stateside here, and we're here with a new video. We're going to be taking a look at every Premier League club and the player that needs to be saved. Starting off, of course, with Arsenal. Tierney. Kieran Tierney needs to find somebody to save him from what has become just rotting on the bench of Arsenal. He needs to move on. I love him to death. He was a great servant for the club, but he needs to find a new club for his career. These picks are based on these players' career and what's best for their career. Not me I want Tierney out of my club. That's nothing like that. That's just a player that needs to move on for his career. Maybe not most beneficial for the club that he plays for. Tierney leaving kind of leaves us a little bit short at left back, and so it may not be what we want to happen, but it could be would be beneficial for his career. Up next at Aston Villa, we got Lucas Digne. Lucas Digne obviously already lost his spot to a player older than him that was brought in. Unai Emery brought him in that first window. That was Unai Emery, I believe, first signing as manager of Aston Villa was to replace Lucas Digne. Lucas Digne needs to find a new club. He needs to find somewhere where he can be really, the player that he was at Everton. I think if Anthony Robinson leaves, I could see him coming in and taking that left back spot. That's a signing that makes sense to me. Really shore up that left back spot for Fulham in the years to come. It just makes sense in my opinion. Bournemouth, I'm going to go with the Irish goalkeeper Mark Travers. I think Mark Travers really makes sense here. He really needs to pick his career up off the ground before Gavin Bazunu really takes that Irish number 1 shirt over from him. I think moving to a different club, maybe even in the Championship, taking a step down would be beneficial for his career. Personally, I think he needs to find regular game time, and I'm not quite sure how he can do that other than taking that step down. So down to the Championship, he'll be playing against the same opponents as Gavin Bazunu, both players kind of competing in the same league. I can't really think of another Irish keeper that would rival these two, for lack of a better word, rival the two, Travers and Bazunu. Brighton, a player who I personally thought was going to go and be world class at Brighton this season. Dennis Undav. I think Undav got heavily, kind of went in over his head maybe. Expected to have more game time coming into the season. I thought he was personally going to have a lot more game time, and I think that he should definitely find a club where he can get that game time he deserves. I think a move to the Bundesliga would be excellent to him. He's a German. He has played in Europe before, having played in, I believe it was Belgium he played for. He's played for Brighton, of course. I think it's time to move back to Germany, play there for his next few years of his career, really spend his prime there. And, Germany's struggling at that striker position. Maybe gets a call-up. Burnley, Jay Rodriguez is who I went with, another striker. I don't really have anyone else. I think Jay Rodriguez is probably a Championship striker at best. I think that maybe that's the best move for him, is to move on. Can't really think of anybody else in that Burnley team. The 3 teams that got promoted, really difficult picks for me, because who wants to leave? Who wants to leave a Premier League level side? They have a chance to go score 3 goals in a game and get a move in January to another Premier League team. Obviously, hopefully a team doesn't pay money for a player that just scores 3 goals. But you never know. They could get a move abroad or something. Maybe a team sees something in a few appearances in the Premier League, the scouting that he wouldn't have gotten in the Championship. And so, I think it's appropriate for a lot of players to stick around from those 3 teams that just got promoted. I'm one of those players. I want to stick around. But Jay Rodriguez on the move, I see would be best for his career. Obviously, an older player, 33 years old, no international opportunities. I just say go somewhere where you can play if that's what you want to do. Chelsea, a player that wants minutes on club level, said it in an interview the other day that he wants to fall back in love with club football. Christian Pulisic needs to move on. He's not getting game time he deserves, in my opinion, at Chelsea. And, having seen him play for the international team, I understand that Chelsea fans have a hate for him, and believe me, I think he hates being a Chelsea player as well at this point. And just seeing him play for the international team, I think that he belongs in a left team where he can get a lot of minutes. I think AC Milan is going to be that team for him. I think it's extremely appropriate move, especially with the possibility of a player like Balogun moving there, as well as Anthony Robinson. I think both of those players signing in with him, and the 3 of them just moving from the Premier League to AC Milan could be a very, very deadly trio come international stage when they all have this chemistry and they're all clicking like this. Balogun and Pulisic are best buds. I think it's massive for all three of those players. I think that's why Pulisic needs to make the move this summer. He cannot wait. He cannot wait to see what happens with Pochettino. He has to move now. For Crystal Palace, I'm going to go with Jero Wiedewald. I believe is how you say it. I'm not quite sure on the pronunciation. Obviously, it's Dutch, but it's spelled like it should be pronounced German. I don't know. I know they're kind of similar languages. I'm going to stop talking before I offend someone in their language completely, especially with me having had a German player on, actually both of these are German players. And so I kind of need to, know better. But I do think he needs to move on from Crystal Palace. He's 26 years old. He barely gets any play time. He's not been great when he gets his play time. Maybe it's a move back to the Dutch league. Maybe it's a move to the championship permanently. Maybe, I don't really know. But I do think that he's a player that needs to move on for what's best for his career. And I don't see how he gets minutes at Crystal Palace here in the next few seasons. Up next for Everton, a team that's been struggling in the defense and a player that needs to move on for his career, Mason Holgate. I think it's time for him to pack it up. I don't think he's good enough. I think Tarkowski's going to play. Obviously, Connor Cody's going to Leicester today. That got announced the day of filming this, which I think this video is going out tomorrow, so it's not a big deal. But, I say Mason Holgate, it's time to move on. I think you're not in Everton's long-term plans, and I just see that being a move that just makes sense. Fulham, I go with Knockaert. Knockaert, obviously, having been loaned out twice this season, having been loaned out to one team for 6 months and then came back and then got loaned out again for 6 months. I just see this one being a player that he's tired of the loan deals. Just send me out. Just sell me. Honestly, that's the way I feel like Knockaert needs to be at his career, and I just think it's an appropriate move for him as a player. He's not getting minutes at Fulham. He's clearly not part of the plans. They have Willian now. They have can't even think who's on. I know they have Harry Wilson, I think, coming back or has come back already. I'm not quite sure, but it's one that makes sense. Liverpool, I went with Kostas Tsimikas, just a left back. He had 4 assists last season. Anthony Robertson, the starter, Anthony Robertson, the starter for Liverpool at left back, 8 assists. I think, obviously, they bring completely different things to the game, but I think the Greek left back needs to find a move elsewhere. I think I could see him playing in the Serie A. I could see him playing in the Premier League at a lower level club and getting a lot of minutes and then eventually moving to a bigger club later in his career. I could see that definitely without a shadow of a doubt. I see this one just making sense personally. Up next, we've got Luton Town, and for Luton Town, I'm going to go with Matt Macey. He's a player that's bounced around a lot over his career. I think he got loaned out last year from Luton to a League One side. The ex-Arsenal academy, I think he was an academy product. Ex-Arsenal player, I feel like his time has come. He's not a Premier League level goalkeeper. He's not even a Luton Town level goalkeeper. He needs to find regular play time. I think maybe he'll want to make the move. I think obviously he's already done the Premier League thing with Arsenal. It is what it is. He wants to play. Let's face it. He's 24 years old, still has plenty of time in his career as a goalkeeper, plenty of time to improve and find his feet into the Premier League at 28, 29, 30 years old. But it's not now. It's not at this very moment. It will not happen anytime soon. As for Manchester City, I've got to go with Calvin Phillips. The best move for him in his career, I think, is to make a move away from Manchester City. But if he wants to make that move or not, it's not. It's his decision, and it seems like he doesn't want to make that move. So there's really not too much to talk about here. I think that Calvin Phillips should leave, but I don't think he will. For Manchester United, we're going to go with another midfielder, Scott McTominay. I just don't see really getting the minutes he wants. Under Erik ten Hag, I see him eventually moving on. I could see him going to a West Ham. I could see him going to a team like that. I don't see him going to Bournemouth, who probably need a player like him. I could have seen Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace might have made sense before they signed Jefferson Lerma. But I do think the one that makes sense probably the most for him would be a West Ham move, really replacing Declan Rice, who signed for Arsenal today, by the way. We're going to actually... you would have seen him in today's video, the day I'm recording this, or yesterday's video if you're watching this now on Thursday. But the video before this one, will be where I talked about Declan Rice making the move. Up next, I'm going to talk about a controversial one from Newcastle. Player that's been in and out of the team. Obviously, I think he was injured for quite a while this season. Allan Saint-Maximin needs to move on because the system he plays for Eddie Howe isn't a system that's going to benefit Allan Saint-Maximin. And I think that's a problematic thing for him, despite Champions League football. It's obviously great for him, great for his career. He's 26 years old. This is where he wants to be. This is where Allan Saint-Maximin wants to be. However, I think the best thing for his career is to go somewhere where he can flourish, where he can be the best player he wants to be, and really have that joy in his game where he's a big fish in a small pond. He's no longer the big fish in a small pond. I think that's not good for the game and the style that Allan Saint-Maximin likes and enjoys on the counter, beating defenders one-on-one and finding an assist or a goal in him. I think that's the player that Allan Saint-Maximin is. I don't see it being what he gets in the future. Up next is Nottingham Forest player who was just at Luton Town, Ethan Horvath. I think Horvath deserves Premier League minutes. He obviously just got promoted with Luton Town. I'd like to see that made to a permanent move. Obviously, with Macy going out the door, of course, I do see that he returns to Luton Town and helps them next season, hopefully, stay in the Premier League, just because I want to see him be successful. But anyways, not too much to add there. He was loaned out to Luton Town last year after they got up to the Premier League. A lot of help from him in that run to the Premier League, and obviously Horvath was loaned out, and I think the starting goalkeeper was sold, and now Nottingham Forest have Keylor Navas, and it just doesn't make sense there how they've managed to get Keylor Navas. I guess that was another player whose career needed saving, and he got it saved because he's starting game week in and week out for Nottingham Forest. Fair play. But moving along to Sheffield United, this one was actually probably the easiest of the three teams to get promoted, is Sander Berge. I just feel like Sander Berge, he's already, I think, expressed that he wants to leave the club. I think this is a move that just needs to happen at club and player level. It makes sense. He's kind of just fed up with the club. He doesn't want to. If he doesn't want to be there, don't keep him. It's that simple. I think he should move on for his career. I don't know if it's a Premier League move that's in his future. I'm not quite sure that's what I'm going to see from him. Although I don't really know what other league he works in. So who knows what we're going to see there. Tottenham, this is a player we talked about in yesterday's video, and it is Harry Kane. I see Harry Kane on the move for Tottenham. I just feel like this is a player that wants to be saved, but doesn't know how to do it. Doesn't know how to put his foot down, if you will. I do think Harry Kane needs to find a move for his own career, and I think that move might be Manchester United, whether it be this summer or whether it be the following summer. And so we'll just have to wait and see what happens there. The penultimate team, West Ham. I went with Jared Bowen again, another Englishman on the right wing. I think he really deserves to be playing elsewhere. I see, now his best bud, Declan Rice, is gone. Jared Bowen could stick around for Europa League, but I do see him moving on eventually to play in a different team, a different setup. We'll just have to see what happens there. And lastly, for Wolverhampton Wanderers, I went with Connor Cody, who's officially today been announced going to Leicester City. I wrote this script, and then I think an hour later, I got the Fabrizio Romano tweet about that, so that's kind of embarrassing there. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like down below. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss another video, and leave a comment on videos you'd like to see when I get back from vacation. In case you didn't realize, I'm going on vacation next week, so I'm going to be wearing the same shirt here in a video that I'm wearing next week. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.